Hey everybody, welcome back to my blog. This is Damien. We are on day 34 of the first phase of 55-day adventure of going from being unemployed, overweight, and broke to a place of financial stability, good cash flow, hopefully a job, but if not, at least some cash coming in, a good source of income, and being in shape, and then having some money. So I'm glad that you joined me. As I said, it's day 34. We're going into our 6th week here in a couple of days, and I appreciate you following along. If you're somebody that has been watching on a daily basis, it really encourages me to get your feedback, to get your comments, and to know that some of the information that I'm passing on is helping you as well. What I want to talk about today on day 35 is day 34, is I want to talk about keeping things in a perspective of your situation. Right now, you might be where I'm at, and again, I share what I'm experiencing with you. Any of you that have been watching this know that we're probably experiencing a lot of the same emotions and a lot of the same obstacles and same problems as we go from being unemployed and losing our jobs to trying to find a job. And what I'm finding right now on day 35 is that, it's kind of like, okay, 6 weeks, I should have work by now. Something should be going on. And as you know from my earlier blogs, I've actually been out of work for 7 or 8 months now, actually 8 months. But I've just actively, since I started this blog, really got back into looking for a job and trying to stay encouraged and to push myself along. So let's say, it's going into week 6 and nothing's shaken out yet. It feels like something should, and it might be easy to look back and ruminate on what happened and go back to that place that you were at when you lost your job maybe 6 weeks ago, or for me 8 months ago, and to get frustrated again. And I want to encourage you not to get frustrated. Keep things in perspective. It's still too soon, even with me after 8 months of losing my job, it's still way too soon to tell whether it was good or whether it was bad. I don't know what's going to happen yet until I look at it in the context of a longer time frame. There's actually a Chinese proverb out that you may have heard about a farmer who had a horse, and this was a horse that they used every day on their farm. It was a great valuable source of their income for planting crops and harvesting and all of that. And one day the farmer's horse ran away, and the neighbors had heard that the horse ran away, and they said, oh my gosh, that's absolutely awful. You must be just devastated. That's the worst thing ever. And the farmer replied to these people and said, well, maybe so, maybe not. We shall see. And shortly thereafter, a few days later, the horse came back, or a week later, the horse came back home to the farm and actually brought with it several mares that the stallion had found running wild. And the mares followed the stallion back to the farm, and they corralled the horses into a gated area. And oh my gosh, all the neighbors couldn't believe it, that not only did the stallion come back, the stallion came back with 3 mares. And so everybody was rejoicing, saying to the farmer, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. Your horse came back and returned along with 3 additional mares. To which the farmer replied, maybe so, maybe not. We shall see. Shortly thereafter, the farmer's son, who was 17, 18 years old, was working with the mares trying to break him in, and he actually fell off the back of one of them. It bucked him off, and he broke his leg and was laying on the ground, and all the neighbors heard about it. And the neighbors, of course, came over to check in on the son and make sure he was okay. And we're talking to the farmer, and they said, wow, that's really frustrating. Your son broke his leg. That's just terrible news, the worst thing ever. To which the farmer replied, maybe so, maybe not. We shall see. Shortly thereafter, again, maybe a couple days later, the National Army marches through town, collecting and recruiting men and boys that were of fighting age, anywhere from 16 on up. And the farmer's son was spared because he had broke his leg and couldn't fight anyways, so they passed on to the next town, leaving the son to not have to go to war. And the neighbors just couldn't believe it, and they came into the farmer and they said, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. That's the greatest thing ever. Your son broke his leg, so you didn't have to go fight. This is just amazing. To which the farmer replied, maybe so, maybe not. We shall see. And I know it's a simple story, but the moral of the story is you just don't know in a short time frame, and a short time frame can be a year or even longer. I mean, a couple of years, 5 years. How many times have you been in a situation where something seemed a certain way, and then when you look back on it in the time frame, or I should say the perspective of a decade, it was totally different? Like, it wasn't what you thought at the time. And I know I had shared with you in the past that I've lost jobs before, not from being fired, but from different situations where I've had to move on, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is terrible, and it ended up being one of the greatest things in getting me to the next level in my life. So I just want you to, when things happen, and if you're starting to feel like I was feeling a little bit, looking back and getting frustrated again, thinking, oh, this is just terrible that I lost my job, and here I am still struggling, you have to tell yourself, maybe so, maybe not. we shall see, and just keep it in perspective. So I hope that story encourages you on day 34. Hang in there, and check back again on day 35 tomorrow for the next one. Take care.